Everything is about to break. Bertha Russell is done playing nice. Gladys' future is on the line, George's empire is crumbling, and secrets that were buried for years are rising to the surface. In episode 6 of The Gilded Age, season 3, titled, "If You Want to Cook an Omelet," everyone is finally forced to make choices that will change their lives. But as loyalties crack and hidden agendas come to light, one question lingers: who will survive the fallout? Because this episode isn't just about wealth and elegance anymore. It's about power, betrayal, and the high cost of silence. Bertha Russell is no longer asking. She's commanding. In this episode, we finally see her stepping into the role she's been dancing around since season 1. The gloves are off. And Bertha's mission is clear: reclaim her family's place and protect her daughter from a future that was never hers to begin with. We've watched Gladys get pushed, manipulated, and silenced, all under the guise of tradition. But now Bertha is in England, face to face with the very woman who thinks she can control her daughter's destiny, Lady Sarah. And the best part, Bertha isn't backing down. That line she delivers, "If you want to cook an omelet, you have to break a few eggs," isn't just a callback to George's own words in season 1. It's a declaration, a warning. She's about to break everything that stands in her way. We know Gladys has been quiet, too quiet, but Bertha's arrival might finally light the fire she needs. There's this moment, subtle but powerful, where Gladys and Hector turn away from Lady Sarah, and you can almost feel the rebellion beginning. It's not explosive yet, but it's coming. And when it does, the Duchess won't know what hit her. Bertha came prepared, with power, with presence, and with the biggest tiara in the room, a quiet but clear slap in the face to those who tried to belittle her daughter. But it's not just about jewels or titles. It's about control. About a mother finally realizing that no one else is going to protect her daughter unless she does it herself. This storyline is about more than just Gladys' marriage. It's about breaking the rules of a society that's been suffocating the Russells since the day they arrived. And now, Bertha's not just navigating it. She's rewriting it. George Russell's world is quietly unraveling, and episode 6 brings the pressure to a breaking point. What began as a confident expansion into the rail business has turned into a battlefield, with JP Morgan and other elites tightening the noose. George has always been the symbol of power, composed, commanding, and utterly untouchable. But now, every meeting, every conversation is starting to show cracks in that foundation. And the most terrifying part? He knows it. In the preview, we see George with his new assistant, seeking answers from JP Morgan, and the tone is clear. This is not a negotiation. This is desperation. His empire, once built on strategy and brute force, now hangs by a thread. The rail line that was supposed to cement his legacy may instead destroy it. And as we've seen in this show time and time again, when the old money wants to push you out, they don't ask, they simply make it happen. But here's where the twist comes in. Larry, George's son, the one who has often been seen as too soft, too idealistic for the world of steal and deals, might be the only one who can save the family fortune. This theory has been building over the last few episodes, and in episode 6, the pieces are falling into place. The minds that were once dismissed as worthless have been mentioned far too often to be coincidence. It's classic Gilded Age. Nothing is ever meaningless. If those minds suddenly gain value, or if Larry sees something others have missed, then he could become the unexpected savior of the Russell name. But that's assuming George lets him in. We've seen how strained their relationship has been, especially with George doubting Larry's commitment, his instincts, and his choices. So will he trust his son when the stakes are this high? Or will pride come before the fall? And let's not forget, Larry is dealing with his own chaos. His sudden disappearance before the engagement announcement has left Marion shaken. She doesn't know what to believe anymore. The man she was ready to build a life with kept a major secret. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he failed to see how silence could break trust. And that's where things get even messier. Marion doesn't know Larry was simply at the Haymarket. She only sees the absence, the unanswered questions, and the patterns that mirror past heartbreaks. From her point of view, this might be the beginning of another betrayal. The trailer hints at a fallout, and we see Marion looking shattered, not angry, not vengeful, but hurt, deeply hurt. And that's often worse. Because once someone starts to believe they've made a mistake with their heart, it's almost impossible to win them back. Larry may be trying to help his father, trying to prove himself in the business world, but he's about to realize that personal lives don't wait for perfect timing. What's brilliant about this episode is how it weaves these threads together: George's collapsing empire, Larry's hidden potential, and Marion's emotional unraveling. And all of it is happening at the same time in different corners of the story, creating this sense that the Russells are about to either rise together or fall apart. Episode 6 puts all the pressure points under a spotlight. It's not just about money or love anymore. It's about trust, legacy, and the terrifying thought that no matter how high you build, the world can still pull you down. While Bertha fights abroad and George collapses under pressure at home, Marion Brooks' quiet storm is about to explode. Episode 6 dives deeper into her growing doubts about Larry, and what started as a small crack in their engagement is now threatening to shatter it completely. This isn't just about Larry's secret trip to the Haymarket. It's about everything Marion has endured leading up to this moment. From heartbreak to humiliation, she's carried more pain than she ever shows. And now, just when she thought she found a future with someone stable, honest, and kind, she feels the familiar sting of being left in the dark. What makes this even more painful is that we, the viewers, know Larry didn't do anything wrong. But Marion doesn't have that knowledge. All she sees is a man she trusted suddenly vanishing on the most important day of their lives. And silence? That silence from Larry speaks louder than any lie. The mid-season trailer gives us glimpses of Marion's heartbreak. Her face says everything. She looks destroyed. Not because she thinks Larry was unfaithful, but because she thought this time would be different. And that's the real tragedy. Larry's absence, even if innocent, feels too familiar, too risky. Marion has built her world on trust and principles, and once that's broken, it's almost impossible to glue back together. The question now is whether Larry will realize what he's done soon enough to repair the damage, or whether Marion's disappointment will turn into permanent resentment. And remember, she's not just disappointed in Larry, she's disappointed in Larry. She's disappointed in herself, in her own judgment, in the fact that she let herself believe in love again, only to find herself right back in the cold. But Marion isn't the only one facing betrayal. Across the street, Oscar Van Ryn is going to war. The long-awaited confrontation between Oscar and Ma is finally here, and it's going to be brutal. For episodes, we've watched Oscar grow increasingly desperate after being tricked and financially ruined. Ma's betrayal cut deeper than we expected. And now Oscar is out for answers, or revenge. Maybe both. But what makes this story so complicated is that Ma isn't just a con artist. She's something else. Something harder to define. Some fans believe she's based on a real-life fraudster who tricked banks by pretending to be an heiress. And that fits perfectly. But there's another theory, one that's far more chilling. That Ma isn't acting alone. That she was just a pawn used by others. By people who knew Oscar's weaknesses and sent her in like a guided missile. And if that's true, then Oscar isn't just facing a scam, he's facing a conspiracy. There's also the possibility that Ma never had any real money at all. The fact that she's now working at the Haymarket proves that whatever scam she ran didn't end with her walking away rich. She's still hustling, still scraping by, which raises even more questions. Where did Oscar's money go? Who took it? And who's really pulling the strings? That's what makes this confrontation so important. It's not just about money anymore, it's about truth. And Oscar, despite all his flaws, deserves that truth. He's made bad choices, yes, but he's never been cruel. And watching someone like him be humiliated and tricked was never easy. This episode gives him the chance to take back control, and helping him along the way is Mr. Adam Scott, who returns once again, possibly to assist Oscar in recovering what's his. But their reunion doesn't look triumphant, it looks sorrowful. In one of the first look images, they both seem distant and sad. It's the kind of quiet grief that doesn't need words. Which raises the terrifying question, is something even worse about to happen? We've been warned all season that a death is coming. We don't know who, and we don't know when. But if these images are hinting at that loss, then Oscar's story might not just be about revenge, it might also be about regret. And if someone close to him dies, especially someone like Adam or even Ma, it could change Oscar forever. Meanwhile, Mrs. Bruce seems unsettled in the first look stills. She doesn't speak, but her face tells a story. Frustration, perhaps, or sadness. There's a subplot brewing here, likely about the help in the Van Ryn household. The mole situation still hasn't been fully explored, and her quiet distress could be related to that, or maybe it's about her forbidden affection for the cook. A romance that has hovered in the background but never been allowed to bloom. Whatever it is, episode 6 seems to be surfacing everyone's secrets, not just the main characters. The show is brilliant at showing how no one is immune to heartbreak. Not even the staff. At the heart of it all is silence. The silence between Larry and Marion. The silence between Oscar and the truth, the silence in the Van Ryn house, and silence is dangerous. Because in silence, doubt grows. In silence, trust dies. And as this episode unfolds, it's becoming clear that if these characters don't speak now, if they don't face what's really happening, it might be too late. As episode 6 unfolds, one of the most quietly devastating storylines begins to take center stage: Peggy's ongoing battle for respect, identity, and love in a world that continues to treat her as less than. This episode is about revelations. Not just the big flashy ones, but the personal ones that shake people to their core. And for Peggy, the mask finally slips. She's been composed, dignified, and incredibly strong throughout all the dismissals, all the subtle and not so subtle racism she's endured. But now, she's had enough. Episode 6 will take us deeper into her relationship with Dr. William Kirkland, a man who has shown affection, interest, and what appeared to be genuine commitment. But with his mother Elizabeth stepping into the picture, everything shifts. Suddenly, Peggy isn't being seen for who she is. She's being judged for what she's been. The pain for Peggy doesn't just come from being unwelcome in William's world. It comes from the realization that maybe he isn't strong enough to fight. For her, Elizabeth Kirkland isn't just disapproving. She's cruel, calculating, and full of barely concealed contempt. She doesn't want Peggy in her son's life, not because Peggy isn't kind or brilliant or accomplished, but because she's black, because she's ambitious, because she refuses to be quiet and compliant. And when Elizabeth learns about Peggy's past, especially the child she lost, she doesn't offer compassion. She uses it as a weapon. That's the line she crosses. That's where it stops being classist, disdain, and becomes something darker. Something that cuts at Peggy's soul. Up until now, Peggy has taken the high road. She's avoided conflict, turned the other cheek, and tried to keep her dignity intact. But episode 6 finally gives her the moment to say no more. Whether it's in a confrontation with Elizabeth or a heartfelt confession to William, Peggy starts to peel back the layers. She's not going to apologize for her past. She's not going to beg for acceptance. And she's certainly not going to shrink herself to fit into someone else's world. The question becomes, will William rise to the moment? Or will he cave? To his mother's pressure, we've seen him hesitate before. He's been kind but passive, gentle but afraid to rock the boat. And this episode will reveal whether he's capable of standing up not just to Elizabeth, but for Peggy, because silence won't protect her, it never has. And if William doesn't make his position clear, if he allows his mother's cruelty to go unchecked, he's going to lose the best thing that ever happened to him. We can already feel the emotional pull of this storyline tightening. There's a moment in the mid-season trailer where William looks torn, caught between the woman he loves and the mother who raised him. It's a classic Gilded Age conflict, but this one feels sharper, more urgent, because unlike the Russells, Peggy doesn't have power or protection. She's standing alone, and sometimes that strength is both admirable and heartbreaking. But this episode doesn't just shine a spotlight on romantic tension, it also dives into one of the season's most unexpectedly powerful arcs, Ada's slow transformation. For seasons, Ada has existed in Agnes's shadow, meek, accommodating, and often dismissed. But now, with Jack becoming wealthy and disrupting the household dynamic, Ada finds herself thrown into a leadership role she never expected. Agnes, ever the sharp and commanding matriarch, suddenly steps back, forcing Ada to handle the chaos. And it's not just a test, it's a lesson. Agnes wants Ada to realize that running a home, managing staff, dealing with crises, it's not as simple as it looks. The moment is layered with both tension and dark humor. Ada, who once yearned for autonomy, now finds herself overwhelmed by it. Jack's new fortune has sparked whispers, rivalries, and hidden tensions among the staff. The once quiet household is buzzing with uncertainty. And Ada, who has never truly wielded authority, is starting to unravel. We see glimpses of her trying to maintain control, trying to assert herself. But the staff doesn't respect her the way they fear Agnes, and Ada is starting to feel that weight. There's a brilliant irony here. Ada, for so long the voice of kindness and compromise, is now in charge, and she's realizing that kindness isn't always enough. The preview suggests she turned to Agnes, frustrated and exhausted, asking why she's been left to deal with the fallout. And Agnes, cold and firm as ever, simply shrugs. "It's your household now," she says. But what she really means is, this is what you asked for. Let's see if you can handle it. And while this dynamic unfolds upstairs, the staff downstairs are having dramas of their own. The mole situation hinted at earlier in the season may be coming to a head. Trust is eroding. Mrs. Bruce looks unsettled. Even small actions are beginning to feel like signs of something larger, something brewing beneath the surface. We know the Gilded Age doesn't do anything by accident. A sideways glance, an awkward silence, these moments mean something. And as Jack becomes a symbol of sudden wealth, the old hierarchy starts to collapse. Who holds power in a house where the servant might be richer than the mistress? Ada's arc is more than just a subplot. It's a reflection of what's happening everywhere. People who've always been overlooked, Peggy, Ada, Gladys, are finally stepping into the spotlight. And the people who've always controlled everything, Agnes, Elizabeth, the old money gatekeepers, are being challenged. Episode 6 isn't just about personal drama. It's about shifting power, about the quiet rise of those who've been forced into silence for too long. And that's what makes this episode so thrilling. It's not just loud confrontations or grand declarations. It's the slow, quiet, thrilling buildup of people finding their voices, choosing themselves, demanding more. And that is the most dangerous revolution of all. But just when it seems like alliances have finally been settled and secrets can be buried, a final storm begins to gather, and this one is not just about money or marriage, but legacy. Episode 6 sets the stage for a reckoning, and no one, no matter how wealthy, charming, or proper, is immune. Bertha Russell, having risked everything, is now being watched by those she once underestimated. The elite social circle she once longed to join now fears her power. Ward McAllister's quiet warnings may no longer be enough to stop what she's unleashed. For Bertha, the question isn't just whether she'll win the opera war, it's whether she'll be able to maintain control of what she's built, or if ambition will burn it all down. Meanwhile, Agnes Van Ryn remains a formidable force in the background. Though she's played her cards slowly, her final move may be her boldest yet. There are whispers of a confrontation brewing between her and Bertha that could shake the social order of New York. Marion, caught between them, becomes the unexpected catalyst her choices. Her love, her independence, threatening to unravel the tight grip both women have tried to hold over her. And what of Oscar? His desperation grows by the day, and it's only a matter of time before he's forced to make an irreversible choice. Whether it's a scandal, a confession, or a betrayal, something big is coming. The Gilded Age has always been about appearances. But episode 6 pulls back the curtain further than ever before. And what we see isn't polished elegance, but raw ambition, secret deals, broken hearts, and dangerous truths. George Russell's position also begins to shift. While Bertha climbs the social ladder, George starts to question the cost of their mutual ambitions. His loyalty to his wife has always been clear, but the moral line he refuses to cross may be tested now more than ever. There's a deal on the table that could secure their future or destroy their name. George may find himself at odds with Bertha, and if that happens, the most powerful couple in New York could turn into each other's greatest enemy. It's the kind of subtle unraveling that the Gilded Age does so well. No explosions. Just a slow burn of tension, deceit, and decisions. Made behind closed doors, even smaller characters like Mrs. Astor, Mr. Rakes, and Peggy Scott are pulled deeper into this web. The press is watching, rumors are spreading, and someone is about to take a fall. Whether it's social or financial, ruin or both will depend on who can maneuver faster, lie better, and strike at the perfect moment. And through all this chaos, one question remains. What is the price of power, and who will be left to pay it? As episode 6 races toward its conclusion, it's clear that this isn't just another chapter in the series, it's the tipping point. Every decision made here will ripple into the rest of season 3, and likely beyond. The opera war was never just about seats and status, it was about dominance, fear, and who gets to define the future. Bertha Russell may have won some battles, but the war is far from over. Her enemies are growing bolder, and even her allies are watching her more closely. There's a betrayal coming, and the weight of it could undo everything. Episode 6 promises to be a masterclass in suspense where every smile hides a threat, every gesture could be a trap, and every word has a double meaning. If you've been watching The Gilded Age for its elegance, episode 6 will remind you that beneath every diamond and silk glove lies a clenched fist. Because in this world, the only thing more dangerous than being poor is being powerful and vulnerable at the same time. And Bertha Russell is about to find out which one she truly is. Get ready for heartbreak, revenge, and the kind of cliffhanger that will leave you gasping for episode 7.